Yellow guys, how are you doing? My name is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and welcome back. So can you believe it? Today is the day that Nintendo did give us a Nintendo Direct. They actually gave us a Nintendo Direct Mini. It was basically a stealth release, and it's something that I weirdly predicted on yesterday's video, where I was like, hey, maybe since we haven't had any sort of confirmation from Nintendo about this Nintendo Direct on January 11th, maybe they'll just do something weird where they just upload it onto their YouTube channel out of nowhere, and instead of preparing us for it or live streaming it, it's just a YouTube video that they just throw up and make live. And it was kind of a joke, but sure enough, that's what happened. It was really crazy, but it was also pretty exciting, and I was already at work at the time that it went live, and I was like, oh my god, it freaking happened. And I was already getting like news updates and tweets and stuff about some of the things that were confirmed in the Direct. It was 15 minutes long, almost 15 minutes long, a lot of opinions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of things to go over, and I really just wanted to quickly run down with you guys everything that they announced and discussed and talked about, and then talk about the few things I'm the most excited about, and then whether or not this quote Nintendo Direct Mini was actually successful or not. So they started with The World Ends With You Final Remix. They showed Pokken Tournament DX DLC characters, Kirby Star Allies, Kirby Battle Royale, and Dragon Quest Builders demos were made available. Hyrule Warriors Definitive version on the Nintendo Switch, Mario Tennis Aces, Ys 8, Super Mario Odyssey actually got DLC, the Luigi's Balloon World update and DLC, SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, Neo Geo Art of Fighting 2, Mario Plus Rabbids DLC, Payday 2 was discussed, Faye for the Nintendo Switch, and a game called Celeste, also for the Nintendo Switch, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Switch, and then finally, the big one, Dark Souls Remastered for the Nintendo Switch. Okay, so that is a lot of stuff. It's not necessarily a lot of huge reveals, big surprises, brand new games. There really wasn't a lot of that, and the few new games that were discussed were actually not even new games. I think the only actual brand new game would be the Mario Tennis Aces game, and I think this SNK Heroines game, Tag Team Frenzy, I don't know if that's actually a new game or not, but those are the two things that qualify as new games. Everything else was just old stuff, or remasters, or ports of Wii U games, or DS games even, or DLC for already established games, pretty much. But here's some of the things that have me the most excited. So the first game I want to talk about is actually The World Ends With You, because I was a huge fan of that game when it first released. That was a 2008 Nintendo DS game, and even when they said in the Nintendo Direct, exactly 10 years later, celebrate this game with a new version on the Switch, with this brand new epilogue, you know, a new part of the story that we're adding to the game. And I was like, oh my god, 10 years ago, holy freaking cow, I'm so old. But that being said, it really was a great game, something that really caught me by surprise. Not typically a game that I would even really enjoy or be into, but I remembered, for some reason, I think the art style and the really positive reviews just sold me on it back in the day, so I picked it up to give it a shot, and I absolutely loved it. I thought the combat was great and very unique. What's tricky is the game does rely on like a touchscreen kind of dual screen experience, very much using both screens at the same time, needing the touch for the bottom screen, and it's a little bit weird to see it coming to the Switch, but that game was released a couple of years ago, I know, on like mobile phones. So some sort of single screen, touchscreen experience for that game has existed for a few years, so we can probably assume they're going to bring that same version over. They did also confirm Joy-Con support, which makes me very excited. And again, the new epilogue, or the new kind of story chapter that takes place after the end of the game, is part of what they're adding to this brand new version, the final remix version. And I mean, I'm just super excited. The original game was fantastic. I literally haven't played it since 2008, so it's gonna, I guess I can't say it's gonna feel like a new game, but it is a game that I'm just really pumped for. Now, Kirby Star Allies was confirmed to be March 16th, and I am weirdly excited for that game, but Kirby is tricky for me, man. I've talked about this before. I do love the character Kirby, and I've loved a couple of the older classic games, absolutely, and I even really liked Epic Yarn, and I thought that Canvas Curse was cool, and Rainbow Curse on the Wii U was also definitely a good game, but in general, Kirby games kind of tend to let me down because they're just easy in the wrong ways, and they're just like baby games for babies, man. Like, it's just, there's something about them. I was so excited for Planet Robobot. I was like, this is the one that's going to convert me. I'm going to be a huge fan. This looks perfect. And it let me down. It just really just didn't work for me personally. So I just shouldn't be excited about Kirby games, but for some reason, I mean, Star Allies looks good. It's Kirby on the Nintendo Switch, and simply because it's the Switch, it just like changes the game when it comes to stuff. So I am excited for that, and I'm glad that it's coming out as early as I was predicting in March. That is super, super cool. Now, Hyrule Warriors, I'm going to admit to you guys, I'm a sucker, man. I'm just a big sap, and I love Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. Oh my freaking god. Easily the game I put the most amount of time into, and seeing this definitive version coming out for the Switch makes me so excited. It's going to look better. It's going to run better. It's got all the DLC characters. It's got all the characters from the 3DS and the Wii U version. It's got new modes. It's got multiplayer stuff. It's just going to be so fantastic. I cannot wait to play this game again. And I feel a little bit sheepish because I totally am psyched for Fire Emblem Warriors as well, and I've yet to go back and pick that up, so I'm like behind on my Nintendo Warriors cross-up games. I really need to play Fire Emblem Warriors first before I get back into Hyrule Warriors, because I've already played the hell out of that game. But regardless, I am excited, and it's really cool to see this game coming to the Switch. It's, you know, there's a couple of Wii U games that we're continuing to see ported over to the Switch, and this is one of them, and I think that it's really cool. Mario Tennis Aces is a game that I'm like slowly becoming more excited about. I mean, I watched it and I was like, I mean, I don't really care about this. It's like, you know, it's just Mario Tennis. I don't really get into these kind of games. I don't really know that I'm going to pick it up unless the reviews are amazing, but I will admit that it does look very, very good. They've added the first ever story mode to it, which is enticing. Having something else to do that convinces me to play and not have to just be stuck online all the time is very cool. I would have preferred Mario Golf, absolutely. I would be buying into that without question. Mario Tennis, like I said, I'm probably not going to play it, but I will admit that it actually does look pretty cool. Payday 2 is a game that I'm getting more and more excited for just because I love shooters, and I think it's cool a game like this is coming to the Switch. Faye looks so fantastic. EA's Faye, oh my freaking gosh. Or at least EA is publishing it, I should say. That game looks great, you guys, and that is coming also, that's coming in February, very soon, just a couple of weeks from now, and I'm just crazy, crazy excited for that. The last two big ones are Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze coming, which is very, very cool, even though it's a game I played the hell out of on the Wii U. Is this one I want to double dip for? I think I probably will double dip on this one, actually, kind of like Hyrule Warriors, because I just love that 2D Nintendo side-scrolling platforming action so much. And I haven't played Tropical Freeze in so long, it'll just feel really refreshing to step back into it. Of course, the Switch factor is part of what's going on here. They added Funky Kong for some other new modes and stuff as a new playable character, so that's neat as well. They're adding a few things to it. But in general, it's just a great game, and I'm just willing to play it again on my Switch. And then, like I already said, the big thing, the thing that has me so excited, and I was hearing about this even before the Nintendo Direct happened today, and that is Dark Souls. Dark Souls Remastered is coming to the Switch. Oh my freaking gosh, we're getting Dark Souls on the Switch, on a Nintendo console. It's so exciting. Now, there's a couple of things to note here, and this very similar to when Resident Evil Revelations was announced for the Switch. This, I think, is kind of cool because there is also a PS4 and Xbox One version of this game coming. Now, whereas some people might see that as a negative because it's like, oh, it's not even exclusive to the Switch, so that's actually a bad thing. I see this, something like this, with a game that's so old, I kind of see this as a win because it's just remastering a very old game, which happens quite often nowadays, and because this game is being released across the board on the PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch, I actually see it as a win because it's showing us a day-and-date multi-platform release with the Switch being included in the multi-platform launch date. And that is a very good thing and something that we want to see more and more of. This isn't like Nintendo being singled out. This isn't, you know, From Software not willing to make their new games on the Switch. From Software is already making this game for the PS4 and Xbox One, and they're just including the Switch alongside of it. And I'm sorry, you guys, that is a really cool thing. And then let alone the fact that this is going to be portable Nintendo Switch Dark Souls. Oh my god. And I mean, here, I mean, full disclosure, as a Dark Souls and a Bloodborne absolute fanboy, I will admit to you guys, the first Dark Souls is the game I've played the least. Even Demon Souls I played more than the first Dark Souls. It was really Dark Souls 2 that hooked me on everything From Software was doing, and the Souls universe, and the gameplay, and all that stuff, you know, well before even Bloodborne came out. It was Dark Souls 2. So Dark Souls 1, I just barely touched. You know, my friend had a copy he lent me way back in the day, and I tried it but didn't get too much into it. And now that I'm so into Dark Souls, I actually feel very lucky as a super huge fan of the series, because playing the first one and now on the Switch will effectively make it almost a new game. I mean, I don't think I spent more than 3 or 4 hours on the original release back in the day. So this is going to be like a new Dark Souls for me as a super big Dark Souls fan. And I think for anyone who hasn't played it and is finally going to give it a shot on the Switch, you're going to be in for a treat. I mean, it's going to kind of smack you in the face with how these games are put together, and I might make a different video about Dark Souls sometime down the road when we get closer to it. But in general, a lot of people will probably be playing for the first time, and I think that that's so fantastic. This is like my dream game announcement, and like, I know it's an older game, but I don't care. This is easily the best thing that came out of today. So there is a list of everything Nintendo talked about and showed, and then a quick list of everything that I'm personally very excited for. And now let's wrap up and just talk about the Direct as a whole, and how should we be looking at this. I'm going to be honest with you guys, like, there's a lot of negativity and naysayers out there for reasons I understand and I'll get to in a sec. But honestly, like, I thought this was fine. I thought this was totally cool, man. I mean, we have to remember, and a lot of people have talked about this, anyone who's disappointed out there saying, oh, it was just a mini Direct, oh, it was just a bunch of old games and remasters and this and that. Like, there is some reasons to be not happy with that, I do agree with you, but in general, we all built it up into something else. That was my whole thing about joking about making fun of people's reactions on Twitter yesterday, and even in yesterday's video, I talked about this. Like, weirdly, this whole thing leaked, and everyone started making it something else, and there were rumors, and there were expectations, and everyone was freaking out. To be fair, Nintendo played into it a little bit with some of their kind of trolling, cryptic posts on Twitter, but really, that's not like it obligated them for anything else, to be fair. It was really just them having fun. No one should have had any other expectations except for what are we going to see if we're lucky enough to even see it. And I also kind of tweeted this earlier. We have to consider anyone who's unhappy about this and how this whole turned out because you wanted new games and you wanted Metroid Prime 4 and you wanted Grand Theft Auto 5 and you wanted Retro's game and all the biggest, craziest announcements here in only the second week of the year. You wanted every big announcement you're ever going to get for the rest of time, and you're upset about it. If you're upset about it, you have to think of what your alternative was to today's Nintendo Direct, which was nothing. That was your alternative. It was either today's Nintendo Direct Mini and all the stuff they gave us, or absolutely nada. No games, no announcements, no trailers, no DLC, no Nintendo Direct. I'm sorry, but you know what? In that situation, I'm going to take the Nintendo Direct Mini that gave us a new Mario Tennis, a new Ys RPG, a Dark Souls remastered, DLC for Mario plus Rabbids, Hyrule Warriors, Donkey Kong Country. Yeah, I'll take all that stuff as opposed to nothing. So anyway, let me bring it back down. I almost got a little heated, actually, talking about why I think it's actually cool that we got this. So, bringing it back down and keeping focused a little bit here. Overall, I found this to be fine, pretty much because my whole perspective on this was what I just ranted to you guys about for a minute or two there. I think it was just cool that we got something, and I liked a lot of what we saw. And also, I absolutely have faith that Nintendo will continue to show us more great stuff, you guys. This isn't the last and only Nintendo Direct for all time, and definitely not for 2018. Again, like I just said, it's the second freaking week of the year, man. Give them time. I mean, the other companies aren't giving us anything right now. Nintendo gave us this. That's pretty cool. So we're going to get more Nintendo Directs. We're going to get more surprises. E3 is the thing that happens every year. I don't know if any of you guys out there know that, but that is a thing that we can expect to happen, is E3, where Nintendo will give us great stuff, and we're for sure going to get at least one more even before E3. So I think that it was really just cool that they did that, and I have faith in Nintendo to continue showing us stuff. Now, one of the things I also take away from this is, and this kind of even further builds on that point that I have faith in Nintendo to show us more down the road, is everything that they showed us and talked about here was like the first half of the year. They didn't go anywhere past May. Like, I mean, May 25th is the date for Dark Souls, and then there was a couple of games dated for spring, quote, spring, and some other May games. I mean, basically, this just covers up until May, the 5th month of the year. And they're giving us a lot of stuff in the beginning of the year. I mean, everything talked about today is first half of 2018. So imagine what's going to happen in April or May when we get another Nintendo Direct. And then when E3 comes around and they're starting to talk about the back half of 2018, that's when we're going to get the big stuff. That's when we're going to find out about the Fire Emblem game. Are we going to get Metroid or Bayonetta this year? What's the deal with Pokemon? Are we going to get an Animal Crossing or a Smash Brothers? What about a brand new IP? What about Retro's game? Those things might start to come out around that time, the middle of the year, to tell us what the back half is. But to get a brand new Kirby and a Mario Tennis and a Dark Souls and a Donkey Kong and a Hyrule Warriors and a Kirby Star Allies and a World Ends With You, all of these games in the first half of the year, come on, man, that's really good stuff. We're also getting Faye, we're getting Payday 2, this Celeste game, this SNK fighting game. Holy crap, Ys, this big game that people are really into. That is a lot of stuff for the first half of the year. So that's kind of what I took away from this Nintendo Direct. Now, to be fair, Yes, we didn't get a lot of new games. I mean, there are the complaints that even though they're not bothering me, they're semi-valid. We got some more Wii U games, we got some remasters, we got some last-gen games that have already been released. We didn't get any brand new game announcements of brand new games that have never released before except for Mario Tennis. And that's really not the most exciting new game. I will agree with all that stuff. In a perfect world, I would have preferred some bigger surprises, some new game announcements, whether they were Nintendo or third-party stuff that had never released before. Yes, I would have liked to see that. And that's why I don't think this was an amazing Direct. I think that this was just an okay Nintendo Direct, considering that it was a mini Direct, and considering that Nintendo never owes us anything more than this anyway. So there are reasons to be maybe not blown away by this Direct, but being mad or upset about it, that just doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I got a little heated in the middle of this video, which I don't typically try to do, but I mean, hey, man, I can't help it. I think it's pretty ridiculous for people to get so upset about this stuff. You built your own expectations in your head, and to get mad about it based on your own mistakes is pretty immature and kind of makes you a baby if you're complaining about it. You're just a baby having baby tears about baby problems. So that's my perspective, and now you know. So that is it. Please, you guys, discuss the Nintendo Direct. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? If you disliked it and you have critical reasons to discuss it in a mature manner, that's fine. It's the people crying like babies about it that I have issues with. If you just disliked it and you have a very concise way of explaining why you feel that way, that's mature, that's totally cool. So talk about the good and the bad. What are you excited for? What aren't you excited for? And what do we think throughout the rest of the year? So that is going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for tuning in. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you guys next time on another video.